Hey everybody, I'm Dean from TheWheelDean, and this is the first, let's say, podcast slash YouTube video that I've made with collaborating here with Gina. And her name is Gina Schuh, and she is a quadriplegic like myself. We're pretty much very close as far as function, I would
Pretty
say.
close. Yeah.
And you were born in California?
I was on a farm, yeah. Farmer's daughter, 18 years I was there.
Nice. So she'll be used to the smell when she goes outside here because we're like a mile from a dairy farm.
Oh, smells
Yeah.
like home.
Oh, it's the first day we moved in here, we're like,
Oh.
but you get used to it no matter what people tell you.
That's true.
As long as it doesn't come in the house, which it never does. When you grew up in California, your injury.
Yes, I had my injury in Tucson actually. I had gone down to Tucson to actually go to culinary school, and I was living with my sister at the time. And I went out with some friends after work, and we were all hanging out, and we were swimming, and I was at the edge of the pool. I asked if it was deep enough to dive. The guy said yes, it was 3 feet deep, and I ended up having a compression fracture. So I have no fine motor, no tricep use, so I can't straighten, and I'm paralyzed from the breast line down, and I'm a complete injury, and it has been almost 16 years now.
Have you gotten any kind of function back? Like after that first year, did you notice anything else like sensation or movement?
I would say, yeah, I started getting spasms a little bit, like when I was in the hospital, but I didn't get any like additional recovery per se. That being said, I did start to learn about my body. I knew exactly, when I had to go to the bathroom, like, I can tell when I have to pee, even though like I don't have control necessarily, my body gives me a warning. I got stronger. I did a lot of physical therapy, so I got a lot stronger. I was able to push a chair. At the beginning, I could barely pick up my arms. I had lost so much weight and was so weak. So I would say I didn't recover, but I did gain function, if that makes sense. Yeah, and learning how to use hands and that don't work.
Did they ever make that tenodesis splint?
Hell yeah, that thing was awesome. I loved it. It was like that. I actually attribute that to my really pretty high functioning tenodesis. Like if you see me, I can get around no problem, pick stuff up, easy peasy. And so that's been nice. I got really lucky with that. But yeah, and I used it. I called it the robot hand.
They made me one in rehab, but my hands are really hypersensitive.
Yeah.
So it was torture when they were casting me for it, and then when they finally made it, every time I had to put it on. And for those of you who don't know what tenodesis is or tenodesis splint, as you can see right here, if she relaxes her arm with her hand straight out, her fingers open a little bit, but then as you pull it back, they start to close. So that's one of the things that when you're first in rehab, they will try to, with physical therapy, occupational therapy, they will try to make that stronger. That way you can, well, I don't want to pick up the mic, it's going to make noise. But they'll try to make it stronger as far as, the grip that you have, because you can't squeeze.
Yep.
So they make a splint that is basically half of your arm, and it really helps, when you pull back, it really helps you squeeze between, typically your thumb will land between your pointer and your middle finger.
Yeah.
And like right here, her thumb and her pointer finger line up. When I do it, I always wear these gloves, so they help in some ways, but when I do the tenodesis, my thumb is a little bit on the outside of my pointer.
Yeah.
But I can still pick things up like.
Oh heck yeah, very functional. Yeah. Mine, it was just about kind of also too learning how to adapt and like finding things that were easier to open. Like, when I was in occupational therapy, I really wanted to still do my makeup, so I went on the search for items that were easier for me to open.
Right.
I found that it kind of made my life a little bit easier to not struggle necessarily, but yeah, I've gotten pretty lucky, I would say. I've got a pretty good tenodesis. Like, I know some people really struggle where they'll be open, and that's another thing. Like, when you're in the hospital, they tell you, do not straighten your hands when they're in a straight position. Like I'm doing, don't do this. But you're supposed to straighten them when they're flaccid and bent over so that you're not losing the tension in the straight position. But You know, mine are so tight, there's no changing it.
And that's the thing, like when you go like this,
Oh yeah,
you know,
that I could, yeah.
you can see that from this angle.
Actually, this finger right here won't even go straight, and the doctor told me if I want it to go straight, I gotta snap it. And I was like, it's cool, I'll just leave it, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm cool with my little claw.
I mean, that's the thing, we have to get used to our bodies afterwards.
Oh yeah.
I always tell people it's kind of like, you know, I was 21 when I was injured, and I became 0 again.
Oh yeah.
You know, because you need help with everything. You need help getting up, getting dressed, going to the bathroom, shower, everyththing. It's like you're an infant all over again. Now, the only advantage that you have to that is you already know as far as how to talk, but you might actually have to relearn how to speak. I know I did.
Now,
How
what
about you?
what happened? Yeah, because they paralyzed my vocal cords actually after my second surgery. So when I got out, it was on one side that was paralyzed, so the other side was hyperactive. But I would talk a lot like this.
Yeah.
And for like 6 months, like it was horrible. It was about 6 months, and I was like, and anyone who knows me, y'all know I talk too much. Like I talk too much, so it killed me, man. That was now. Why could you not? Like, what happened?
I don't know. I mean, I was in the coma for about a week.
Wow.
And stage 3 Glasgow coma, so I had no response. I was brain dead for the first couple of days, and I don't exactly know why. I couldn't really talk afterwards. I mean, the breathing tubes and stuff, they may have damaged some vocal cords, but yeah, I could barely get the words out. So people would have to come up and like right to my mouth and me whisper into their ear, because her and I, neither of us have like diaphragm function. We're both paralyzed from the chest down. So everything that we do is, you know, we don't have the intercostal muscles.
Yeah,
you know,
you got to
so it's
overcompensate.
like-
So, you'll see me take, when I breathe a little different, you know, and so I'll take like more quick, shallow breaths because it's easier than doing like the big, deep breath for me. But and coughing sucks. I can't cough.
No.
No.
What if you lean down?
I mean, yeah, but it still sucks. It's pretty weak. It's like my sneezes are adorable. Yeah. I actually really loved that when I was in law school, because when I was in school, you know, it's like silent in there, nobody's like horsing around, so it's like quiet, and you know, anytime anyone would sneeze, it was just so loud. Me, I'm just like, and I remember classmates occasionally, was that a sneeze? Like I was like, yeah, sneak it by, nobody knows.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, you choke on something, and
I actually almost died recently. Nick Heimlich. Is it Heimlich?
Yeah.
Heimlich. Yeah. Not a Heimlich. The Heimlich.
No,
yeah.
Heimlich.
Okay. Good. Yeah. I was wondering. I'm like, that'd be weird if they called it that. So he had to like straight up, like I got a piece of meat stuck, and I was choking, and it was terrifying. I was terrified. Yeah. No. I was like, okay. Lesson learned. I cut my meat real small now. It was a big bite. I mean, I was hungry. I had my injury in Tucson. I was at a university medical hospital. I had about 30 residents, and they not only had the doctor, who was not a neurosurgeon, put my vertebrae back together, he also cut me open and did an unnecessary exploratory surgery. Fast forward 2 months, I asked if I can get my collar off and go home, and they said, want the good news or the bad news? The good news is you get your collar off. The bad news is you get a halo. And I'm like, what? The first surgeon had left a piece of my vertebrae on my spinal cord. Still to this day, I have no idea what type of damage that has done to my recovery. Probably quite a bit, to be honest. Yeah. And then I ended up going home with a halo for 3 months. That doctor had seen me for 6 months, 1 month, every month for 6 months. He took an x-ray and he looked at me and he said, you look great. You're good to go. Go do physical therapy. Fast forward a year after my injury, and next thing I know, I'm having pain. And I'm like, oh, great. So I go get x-rays. I get a call at 7 p.m. on a Friday. That's never good. Nobody ever wants to work at 7 p.m. on a Friday, okay? So they called me and they said, immediately, you need to see a neurosurgeon. What was going on is I had a syrinx at the time, and that's cerebral spinal fluid on your spinal cord, and it actually can make you lose function. So I found a neurosurgeon in Beverly Hills, Cedars-Sinai. My dude, we were just like, let's find the best of the best. You know, I've been at this how many times. So I was in the room. he looks at my x-rays and he goes, Gina, can you go get some other x-rays done? And it's when I was young and like obnoxious and talkative. Like I'm just not young. So I went with these guys and then we're yakking it up. And I go, oh my gosh, I got to get back to my appointment, you guys. Because they were asking me what happened. They had all these questions. By that time, my mom had already gotten the x-ray back. My parents were both in there. And I came around, the door open and she's crying. And I just knew. I'm like, this is bad. I found out that my neck was never fused. Yeah, the doctor had seen me 6 times, gave me the go-ahead, ironically. None of them got sued. I know everyone always asks me that, but doctors are very, very hard to sue, as many people will find out and know. So that was my history. I also had a failed bladder augmentation that I had to have redone a year later. I'm not lucky with surgeries. Like, let me just tell you, it's not my best record. So yeah, I would tell people, if you don't feel good about a surgeon, or if you're going into a surgery, always get a second opinion.
Yeah.
Always.
Definitely.
You know, that was my regret. The second time around, believing just that one neurosurgeon, you know.
And yeah, I could relate to that because when I got to the hospital, like I said, I was pretty much brain dead. And the first 2 neurosurgeons that saw me basically just said, let him go.
Wow.
Yeah, the third guy that came in, he's like, well, he's 21, he's in great shape, he's a non-smoker, let's give it a go. So if it wasn't for him coming in, I wouldn't be here, because the other 2 were,
wow,
they weren't even really willing to give it a try. But the third guy, luckily he did it. And
oh my gosh.
So
wow.
yeah, I mean, always, no matter what it is, big or small, get a second opinion.
I can't believe that.
If they take offense to it, it's obviously not the surgeon that you want.
Yeah, that is the truth, man. Boy, that is such a good piece of advice. When you go into surgery,
write on yourself with a Sharpie, we're replacing this. So
that is the truth.
Everybody's got to mark their bodies nowadays.
What was crazy though is after my second surgery, I came out with a halo and everything, and I go, oh, the back of my head hurts so bad. And I could not figure it out. And I'm like, I had them try. I was like, you guys, like, they said, well, it's probably like, because, you know, you have the compression of the halo. I'm like, no, the back of my head hurts. Like, something hurts. They feel back there. It's matted with blood. They had yanked out a quarter-sized chunk of my hair in the back when doing that. I think the drill caught it, and they didn't tell me, and nobody mentioned it, and nobody doctored it. And they doctored it after the fact.
Were you alert when they put the halo on?
No. Were you?
No.
Oh man, I would not.
People that I know have been like completely wide awake as they're screwing these things into your skull.
No.
And they're like, oh, it doesn't hurt.
No. I was awake for pulling out my NG tube, which was pretty horrible, but oh heck no. I was awake for adjusting it. They did adjust it because they had me like this. And I'm like, I can't even swallow. And then he had me like this, and I was like, I can't even talk. And then finally, this really nice Irish guy, not that jackass doctor, excuse me, but he actually, he came in and he got me all set up, and I went home with a halo. Took me 3 hours to shower, start to finish, because you couldn't get the halo wet, the halo part wet.
Wow.
It was rough.
I just did bed baths up until the halo.
Oh, I couldn't. Oh no, I would like sit in the bath, wash all my lady bits and legs and all that, get up, and then my mom would take the thing out from underneath. I would do it every 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of work.
Yeah, back in the 90s it was different. It's like nobody wanted to touch you when you had a halo on.
Oh,
as far as like washing your hair and stuff like that, they didn't want to do that. And it's like, I mean, I was just a grease ball in the rehab. I'm like, so the nurse, his name was Al, really cool guy. He goes, I am coming in on my day off, and we're gonna wash your hair. And that was like the most amazing feeling ever. You know,
what
just
a nice,
kind of pulled me off the edge of the bed, put a big bucket on the floor, and just rinsed and soaked and rinsed like 5 times.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that people underestimate the power of personal hygiene.
Yeah.
Like being able to take a shower, like I didn't shower for 3 weeks after my injury because I had staples, so they wouldn't let me. And I remember when I first got to shower, I was like, I feel human again. Yeah. Because like I felt disgusting, first off, because it was disgusting. I'm like, ugh. Like all of us, you know, you're all gross. You're like, ew. And when I showered, I was like, man, I felt so good. My nurse used to make fun of me because I would shave I'd be like, I want to shave everything, shave my legs, shave my arms, like shave my armpits. She'd be like, I'm gonna be in there with Gina forever. She hates hair. And I was like, you know what? I gotta feel like a woman, you know? Like, I was getting hairy. I was like, we gotta get rid of this. Like, I was like, I can't do this. Like, you guys don't understand I have dark hair. This does not lend well to hairy legs and armpits, let me tell you. It doesn't. Oh, man, I was looking like Frida. I was like, oh my God.
Frida.
Yeah,
One eyebrow.
one eyebrow.
So you don't wear gloves?
I don't wear gloves. You know, I have sticky rims. I have power assist wheels too, so that they actually help. Because I don't have the use of my tricep, Dean has a little bit more use of his tricep, so he's able to like push forward a little bit easier than I am. So to save my shoulders, I actually have power assist wheels. So it reverts like 1 pound of pressure into 3. And it gives me an extra boost. It doesn't do all the work, so I still get some exercise, and it helps me keep my weight down, but it does save me doing long distance. Right. Definitely. I love them.
And I've seen you roll like
long distance,
up an incline too, and it's like butter.
Yeah, I was cruising past him about like 10 minutes ago. Yeah, he's like, what the heck?
Yeah,
but
she just like goes like this, and it just gives that like 3 times more effort. So I've never tried those. I've seen people with them.
You should try
and
them.
Later on, at the end of the video, we'll post some pictures of them. Any of you out there that have trouble. Now, the thing that I've always told people, because when I was first injured, they automatically wanted me to go into a power chair.
Oh yeah, me too.
You know?
I was in one.
And I was in one in rehab, and then finally they put me into a manual chair, and I couldn't even I didn't have enough strength to even get over an extension cord.
Oh yeah, no.
And if there's a little dip in the floor, you kind of get stuck.
You'd be
get stuck in the dip.
Yeah, no.
So
that was the same for me. I really didn't have much in the way of strength, so they did send me home in a power chair. And oh my gosh, my weight blew up.
Yeah. I
just gained so much weight because I had no exercise. And then I came out to the Phoenix area, actually both of us elbows. I came out to the Phoenix area and came to do therapy in Tempe, actually, at the Neuro Institute. And I was going to therapy 3 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week, doing intensive therapy, electrical stimulation, weight, all of that. And it really got me so much stronger to where I could actually push. Still, even with that training, I can't push a manual chair. My shoulders, it would greatly limit my life. You know, these give me a lot of independence. When I was going to school, I would have never been able to push across campus had I not had something like this. So, I think you got to weigh it out. But if I didn't have to, it's way more convenient. Your chair is lighter.
Definitely.
When you travel, you don't have to worry about busting your rims of your $7,000 a set wheels.
Or a battery running out.
Yeah, or a battery running out. Actually, these are so much better. They go for days.
Yeah.
And for someone like me, that's saying a lot, let me tell you, because I'm on the go.
But, you're always out.
Yeah, always. But yeah, it definitely, when you first get injured, it's about finding what works for you. Now, how did you find your wheelchair when you first got out?
It's
your first manual.
Wheelchair?
Yeah.
Well, when I was in rehab, and I went to rehab in South Phoenix here at Banner. Well, it's Banner now. It used to be Good Sam.
Yes. Oh.
And I rehabbed there, and while I was there, the head nurse brought a couple people in that were previously injured. One guy was in a chair, same exact level, and the only function he got back was his pinky, and I believe it was on his right hand. And he said, "You would not believe how great this pinky is. Sunglasses, and he's like, I could do so much now that I got my pinky back." And I'm like, okay. This second visitor was, he was 65, and he broke his neck when he was 53, I believe, and was paralyzed from the neck down. Some girl that was going to school, I believe she was going to ASU, and she was doing reflexology. She just said, "Can I try it on you?" He walks. Within a year of her doing that, now of course this is just, I'm not saying reflexology is going to fix everything, but she started doing reflexology on him. He started to get movement, but never got feeling back. So he came walking in, but he has to stare at his feet because he can't feel where he's putting them. So he walks super slow, but he's 65 years old and he's walking again.
Wow.
So the third guy, his name was Eddie, and he worked for a wheelchair company down the street. And so he brought me a chair. It was a Colors wheelchair. And I got into it, and like I said, I was totally weak. But I stuck with colors for many, many years, and now I'm in a T-light or T-light or T-light,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. But that's how I came across. I never wanted a power chair just because, like you said, you need exercise. The only exercise that you and I can get is really rolling around.
And you can't fit under,
So.
like I had a really hard time. So I grew up in a farming community, and where I was living at the time was kind of rural America. We're not talking Arizona accessibility, you know.
Right.
So getting into places with a power chair, getting under tables with a power chair, getting around with a power chair, there is no transportation available.
Yeah.
It's non-existent. Like if you don't have an accessible vehicle and you don't have accessible transportation, a power chair is very, very hard to consider.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but I kind of was happier, I think, in the manual chair because it's more low profile, because I do want people to see me and not my chair necessarily. Now, have you ever done any adaptive sports?
No.
Why not? Have you wanted to try sit skiing or water skiing or kayaking or anything like that?
Not really. I don't like cold. I don't like snow. So that kind of gets rid of the skiing thing.
Yeah.
I've always been the one that drives, like, you know, Johanna might want to go water skiing, but for me to go water skiing and then have to try to get into dry clothes to get back in the car, that's not gonna
It's a
be that
hassle.
easy. So
You should just wear a
I never-
Speedo and let it air dry. I mean, why not?
That'd be funny.
Next video.
Yeah,
number
exactly.
3.
Dino the Speedo. So.
I like this. I like where this is going. I would definitely watch it, just so you know. But yeah, no, that's true. Have you tried kayaking?
Leave a comment in the bottom there.
Yeah, Talon, vote for the Speedo. Actually, the next one you should do in a Speedo.
The next what?
Next interview.
Interview.
Yeah, just in a Speedo. That's it.
Just a Speedo.
But so have you tried kayaking?
No, Johanna has.
Okay, you got to do that.
That I could see myself doing that.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's so much fun, and you can
I
actually do
actually
it.
like to buy a couple, but you know, I take donations.
I have some you can borrow. You can just borrow mine.
I was never really into sports before my injury.
Yeah.
I mostly like riding 4-wheelers and dirt bikes and motorcycles and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
that was a lot of. I was an athlete, but I did a lot of ATVs because I'm a farm girl.
Exactly.
Listen, I got my first go-kart when I was 5 years old. Like, that's
Nice.
it. My dad, we had a 1/4-mile track in the back. You would have loved it.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I had a great upbringing, honestly. Just incredible family. My parents are still super supportive. And actually, when you talk about, you know, what leads to thriving after a severe tragedy or a spinal cord injury, and that's your support system. It really is. I mean,
Definitely.
whether it's family or friends or whatever, it doesn't have to be blood relatives. You know, get yourself a really good support system. You will thrive if you surround yourself with good people that really love you. My family has totally pushed me to like succeed. You know, that's why they look at me, they don't see my wheelchair. They think they still have expectation standards for who you surround yourself with.
Right.
You want to have people that like love you, that don't make you feel, you know, like you're an inconvenience. You know, like my boyfriend personally never makes me feel like he's missing out on anything ever. Like
Awesome.
you know, he just, and I love that. And I have surrounded myself with people who don't make me feel bad about my chair or whatnot. And so that's a big one. You know, and cut out the people that do. Even if they're family, they don't deserve a place in your inner circle. If they don't treat you right, then you know, that's.
Now, if they're enabling, like if they're doing too much for you,
Oh yeah.
make sure that they know. I mean, you should take it upon yourself to do as much as you can from day one.
I come in, I back in. To find it to be easiest. You can turn it on, and if I'm not logged in, it'll beep at me. I'm all set. That's it. Pretty simple. And then I just close it up,